Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show. I got my partner, Michael, back with me. Y'all know the other day I did a show. He wasn't available for the show. You know what I'm saying? So I had to go on without him. You know, the show must go on. But he's available now, and we're going to do this show about, answering the question from Miss Natalie. We do the pen pal thing with the Utah students out there. You know what I'm saying? Great program and whatnot. Michael, welcome back.
Thank you.
Are you doing okay? You good?
I'm good.
Okay then. Well, we're not gonna get into why you didn't show up last time. You know what I'm saying? But we're gonna get into this right now. And just so you know, I've already answered Natalie's questions in the letter that I had from her, which were great questions. She wanted to know about, my representation, what type of lawyers did I have? Did I think it would have made any difference in anything that they said and all that kind of stuff? As far as the representation. And if you didn't listen to that show, go back and check that show out, right? It's a very interesting show, and I think that you'll enjoy the information that came out in it, right? But Michael, what did Natalie hit you up about, man? And let's get into that.
Well, first let me thank her for her encouragement about getting my CDL, and situation may arise that I may be able to do that in the near future. So thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
And so her first question was. She says, if you don't mind, how do you feel getting a job will be? Mentally speaking, do you feel like it would be a relief?
Read that again for me. What do you mean, getting a job? Just in general, when you get out?
Yeah, I'm thinking that's what she's saying when I get out. Because she says, how do you feel getting it? Because the context is the CDL. Getting my CDL, and she was, happy that we can do that in incarceration. And she said that's a good thing, that people should be able to go out and work and come back to prison, to do your time. Yeah. But speaking for that, so when she said, considering that, if you don't mind me asking, how do you feel getting a job will be? So my assumption is that getting a job on the outside.
Yeah. How does she think it'll be? Okay. She didn't say mentally.
She says, mentally speaking, do you feel like it will be a relief? Maybe getting the job or getting the CDL.
I'll answer both of them.
Exactly, I'll answer both. Getting the CDL would be a relief, especially for me getting it in while incarcerated, because in my mind, it saves me 4 weeks. I could be working those 4 weeks out there on the street instead of taking the 4 weeks of the class on the street. Mm-hmm. So that part, that's something I want to do, something I need to do, and it'd be a relief. Mm-hmm. And as far as getting a job, I don't think that I used to tell my mom all the time, I don't think that there's any way in the world that I can't talk somebody into giving me a job.
Right.
So, it's not saying that
Why do you say that?
It's not saying that I'm a con artist or anything. It's just that
No, that's why I asked you to explain that.
I have skill sets that people need, and
right.
I have, I can do any kind of job, so.
Right, but I think bigger, in addition to the skill set, what I'm saying, you're that type of person that you can get along with anybody. You bring a whole lot of other assets to the table other than just knowing the job.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that know the job, right? But they got bad attitudes, poor work ethics, blah, 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 right? You're just not that type of individual, you know what I'm saying? So just to help you out, round that out a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Now, what I would say to something like that, because that doesn't apply to me, but I'll jump in there though, when it comes to, having a job or pursuing whatever career path you're on, it gives you a purpose in life. Something that you can focus on, something that you can do that will help you, move through life in a positive and productive way. I think that's something that every individual in prison that wants it should be able to take advantage of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that we become like a lost asset to society when we come to prison, because it's like, okay, we don't want them doing anything, right? We don't trust them to do anything other than work behind the fence and help the institutions run. I get that institutions have to run. I totally get that.
Yeah.
But I think that, a lot of people are missing a broader point when it comes to the labor. And I don't mean taking advantage of us. I don't mean that at all. Just paying us $1 an hour for a job that daggone well will pay whatever the going rate on the streets. They should pay us for that.
Yeah.
But that by doing stuff like that and stop taking advantage of people in prison in that way, it helps us to become more responsible. Stop like letting us have to not even think about what we're going to do with our money.
Mm-hmm.
Give us opportunities to think about investing, paying rent, room and board, whatever the case may be. In my opinion, even when they're dealing with our clothing, you feel what I'm saying? It's almost like we should have some kind of system set up that will allow us to participate and mimic what goes on the outside as much as you can in here, so that when you get out, you won't be lost.
Yeah.
People, the basic things in life get lost in here because you got somebody telling you what to do every day, all day, and most of the time they're not telling you what to do that's going to benefit you as a person, help you go and learn. They're telling you things that are going to benefit how the institution needs to run.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Yeah. And go ahead.
Like I always said, they're talking about making people have to go to a halfway house.
Right.
This is our halfway house.
Right.
This is the halfway house.
Right.
We should be prepared.
Right.
We should be preparing here. We shouldn't have to wait till we get out to go to a so-called halfway house on the street. All the stuff that we need to learn or get should be done while we're incarcerated.
Right. I think the narrative needs to be changed when it comes to trying to explain to society why prisons run the way they do. It should be unacceptable for people to be able to come to prison and do nothing. But it also should be unacceptable for the administration to be able to take advantage of people in prison because they're locked up. You should still be paid, what anybody on the streets would be paid for the same work. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't be taken advantage of in that way. But let's move on to the next question. You know
that was it, because we pretty much answered. She said, "Do you think it may be difficult getting a job?"
Yeah.
Like we've answered that. I don't. For me, it won't be difficult. For some, it may be difficult because they don't. Look, I'm gonna accept a job that others may think is beneath them. I'm gonna accept that because I'm gonna use that as a stepping stone. Because my mom always said, if you have a job, getting another job is easier when you have a job. And if you don't have a job, your full-time job is to find a job.
Right.
So, I don't. For me, it won't be difficult. But I'm a unicorn, so I'm in a different situation.
Absolutely.
So, I wish that people would have that same mentality coming out of here. Because you would lower your recidivism if people would, okay, I have a felony. Let's move past that. I'm here trying to get a job. That's the point. I'm trying to get a job so that I won't be involved in whatever it is that I was involved in. And the housing thing, you can't stay in apartments because you have a felony. Well, I'm trying to do something, but you won't let me because I have my past. My past is just my past. That's what it is. Everybody has a past.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to be held accountable for your past for the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I just don't imagine that. Because most people don't end up in jail or prison, but I can't imagine that they would appreciate being held accountable for a bad decision that they made, or a terrible decision that they made in their lives, at some point in their lives for the rest of their lives. I just can't imagine that people would even know how to deal with that, but they put that burden on people like us that get out of prison, and it's almost like you can understand to some extent where they want to protect themselves and their property and things like that, their family. I get that. But then on the other hand, it's like, what is it that you want us to do?
Yeah.
What do you expect from us? If you take every opportunity away, what do you think's going to happen? You know what I'm saying?
You're going to go right back to what you used to know.
Because you got to eat.
Yeah. And the thing that they should look at it is this man is here trying to get a job. Let's look at it like that. Yeah. He's not trying to be out here hustling or be in the streets. Evidently, he wants to make a change because he's trying to get a job.
Right.
So, to say that a man that wants to hustle is not going to be out there trying to get a job.
No, he's not going to be doing it. You know what I'm saying? But if you close off all the opportunities for a person to do that, then they're going to go do what they need to do to survive.
Exactly.
You have to do that. You know what I'm saying? Other than that, sleep under the bridge. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And most people don't want to do that, some people get put in situations where that becomes the best option for them, and that's a sad situation in and of itself.
Because people say, well, where are you going to live when you get out? I'm going to stay with my sister for a while, but I'm going wherever the opportunity is.
Right.
People have to be ready and willing to uproot, because if you say that I want to stay in this area, but the jobs aren't available in this area, but you have a good paying job somewhere else, we have to be willing to do that to survive.
Right, but I think people are afraid. I mean, most people won't say it, but people are afraid when you get out of it, especially if you've been in here for a lot of years, right? Yeah. And your only window to the world has been TV or your radio and all that. You don't know what's really going on, man.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that scene in that movie Life with Martin Lawrence and Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
When they drive the warden to the bus station and you see all of these things that have changed.
Yeah.
It's like you can imagine that stuff has changed. You got to remember, when I came in prison, texting wasn't even invented at that time.
Me either.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So not being able to participate in that for whatever reason, that stuff becomes intimidating to you and scary. I know people that are on the streets, older people, older than me, that won't touch an iPhone, right? Because they say they're scared of it. You feel me? Don't know what to do, not familiar with it. So imagine somebody that's still been in the world that's like that. Imagine somebody that hasn't been out there in the world. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
That's just a small example of the anxiety that you develop, when it comes to going out there. So when you say, yeah, be willing to uproot and move and this and that, you're absolutely right. But I think that the system has to find some type of way to help you acclimate to the environment that you're going into.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that might be the premise of what halfway houses are about. But that total cutting off from society, it may have made sense to somebody back in the day, right?
Yeah.
But it makes no sense now, because you got guardrails you can put up that will allow you to participate in certain things. You know what I'm saying? While you're incarcerated.
I had seen somewhere that some state, I think it's a state or it might be another country, but I'm pretty sure it's another state. When you're within 2 years, you go to this whole other facility, and the whole thing is work release to reacclimate you to society. It gets you ready for your release. That's exactly what every state needs to do. For if you want to truly lower the recidivism rate, that's your way around.
I agree with you on that, but I disagree with the number of years. I think that, honestly, after your first 5 years, if you have a large sentence, after your first 5 years in prison, based on certain criteria, everybody in prison, unless you are deemed to be a threat, a serial, this or that, right?
Yeah.
You should be out working in the community.
Yeah.
Period. No matter how long your sentence is, coming back at night to sleep in prison. That way you stay connected to how the world is evolving, but at the same time you're paying your debt to society. You feel what I mean?
Yeah.
I just believe that. This idea that wait until a person gets within a certain number of years of getting out and then we're gonna all of a sudden turn this switch on and everything's gonna be fine, it's ludicrous to me.
Yeah.
It's short-sighted in the sense that it's really gonna help the individual. That individual, I've heard people, talk like everything's just gonna be fine. You know what I'm saying? When I get down to these 2 years, I'll be able to go out, I'll be able to do this.
Yeah.
And it's a big, big deal. It's like almost having a birthday. You know what I'm saying? When you're young. But the reality is, it's not gonna be fine, because out of those 2 years of you getting within that 2 years, how many months out of those 2 years are you gonna take to reacclimate?
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? And get used to this and get used to that. Because the psychological effects of being cut off from the world and then all of a sudden thrown back in it, come on, man, that's like being thrown in a bath of ice cold water.
Yeah, because everything's set up for short-term people, and there was nothing for long-term people. Because the simple fact is that that's pretty much drug offenses,
right.
Low crime offenses. So you're saying that the rest of us are throwaways.
But the people that have been making the policies, they're doing it. I understand why they may be doing it. They're doing it because people are afraid. You know what I'm saying? Don't nobody want to be worried about somebody that committed a murder or a rape or anything like that. They don't want to be worried about them if they're out on work release. Yeah, rehabilitation reform, it sounds great, but they are afraid. But that's where I believe the system has led society now. The narrative has to be pushed, not in a way that's disingenuous, but the narrative has to be pushed that if we decide, the system, meaning TDOC or whatever Department of Corrections, if we decide that this person is deserving to be in this program, we've done our due diligence. You feel me? Trust us. You see what I'm saying? They've almost convinced, well, they know almost, they have convinced society to not trust their judgment on who should be out there working and who shouldn't. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And this idea of people getting within less than 2 years, that's because you really don't have a choice. This person is going to be released. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we better get him into something or get her into something so that they can become an asset if they decide to do that. But what if that person had a 20-year sentence and 18 of those is on this side and 2 of them are on that side? Well, if I were a betting man, I would bet that 9 times out of 10, that individual is not going to make it.
Or if you that 20-year sentence, you get out before you're within 2 years.
Yeah.
If you get out before you're within 2 years.
It's possible.
Yeah. So what do you do for those people?
Now, this corrections is, in my opinion, should be only for serious-minded people. And if you don't believe in reform, if you don't believe in rehabilitation, those types of things, I just don't think that you should be in this field. I don't.
And I'm the same way because I feel like there's a few fields that you shouldn't be involved in unless you have a passion for it. That's the medical field, teaching, and corrections, and law enforcement, you know, so and lawyers, you know, things like that. You should have to have a passion for justice, you know, the right thing, and not just, oh, this is a career. You know, I'm just getting my money.
Yeah. But anyway, we said no. No more questions on that at all?
That was it. She just wanted to know how I felt about getting the job.
Well,
so, you know.
Okay then. I think we went a little beyond of what she wanted to know. I hope that information is helpful to her and everybody that's listening. I look forward to the next level, you know, so we can do this again. It's always a pleasure to sit down and politic like this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Appreciate you showing up this time. I hope you show up next time.
Well, you know, things beyond.
I notice I keep shooting the jabs at it, but anyway, look here, I appreciate y'all out there. Hit those comments up, man, and let us know what you think about this episode. And if you got any questions like the students in Utah have, hit them up in the comment section, and my producer will make sure that I get them, and me and Michael will sit down and we'll answer them for you. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.